Your voice, your opinion, your community. Fact TV, free speech, protected.
The following is an independently produced program. The views and opinions expressed are entirely those of the producer and do not reflect those of Falls Area Community Television, its staff, or board of directors. Take a deep breath. Remember this is public access and carry on.
Secrets in the shadows, lost and found. Truth in every echo, loud and clear. Keep on with the long road, no more fear. In the halls of power, whispers grow. Every secret got beneath the undertone. Honest stories hidden in the glass. On this long road, in the truth we judge.
Hey, welcome to The Long Road. I'm your host, Chris Roberts. And this week, we're going to kind of stay local. What things are going to affect us as residents of Keene, residents of New Hampshire. When we talk about the federal budget, we're talking about spending $7 plus trillion. Not billion, but trillion. So the federal government's is on schedule to getting closer and closer to $7.5 trillion. State of New Hampshire, one of the smallest states in the country. The current 2-year budget cycle ends in June 30th. Basically, 61 days left to the biannual budget. The budget that is ending right now was $15.17 billion. That's right. $15.17 billion. To put that in perspective, the federal government spends about $2.5 to $2.75 billion a day in interest on its debt. So basically, 1 week of the national debt interest payments would cover the cost of operating the state government in New Hampshire for 2 years. Less than a week of interest on the national debt would cover more than 100% of the cost of the New Hampshire budget for the next 2 years. The proposed budget, what the House passed going to the Senate, is $16 billion. Less than what the governor wanted, less than what a lot of people wanted, but $16 billion. So basically, you can say going up about $800 million over the next 2 years. And while we don't pay attention too much to the state budget, you got people going back and forth. You got a group up in Concord that's saying is we want to make sure that Medicaid does not pay for circumcisions. So if you're poor and you're on Medicaid, we want to make it so you can't get circumcised and have it paid by Medicaid. CAID, C-A-I-D. Other insurances, yes, but you're not poor. You have insurance, so you have a choice. Or, what we're going to say, who gets to use the bathroom? Boy, girl, whatever, transgender, whatever. We could do what other countries do and make them non-gender. You go in one at a time. And you go back and forth. You got people on the Democratic side complaining about this and other. So people are complaining about a cut here, a cut there, but they don't talk about the big picture. They may be, I put it this way, they may be talking about one small ingredient that goes into the pie, and they forget to tell you about what the pie is going to taste like when it comes out. And here's a little trick. I spent 12 years up in the State House, and I was in the State House from 2004 to 2016. And I was looking at pictures of the people that were on the Ways and Means Committee and the House Finance Committee. And there's some of the same people that were on last century. You have people up there that have been there 30, 40 years because they can afford to. You get $100 plus mileage to be up in the State House, and basically it's an old person's game. And it's the old people. They don't have children, they don't have grandchildren, and they don't care. It's kind of like they enjoy having the power. They enjoy saying, you know what? I don't want to do this, so I'm going to make sure you can't do this. And you go, isn't the freedom in New Hampshire live free or die? But New Hampshire is live free or die. But New Hampshire in the State House, it's kind of, we set the rules of what freedom is. And if you don't like it, die. And a number of the decisions that are made at the State House have resulted in the death of a lot of people. But those are just numbers. They don't care. All it is a power game. It's a game where they like being schmoozed by the lobbyists that come up there. They like going to some of these dinners where, or after session, after today, such and such one, it's like, oh, they're really good. They give you really good scallops in there. Nice cooked real scallops wrapped in bacon. Really good. All these hors d'oeuvres. You might get 2 tickets to get 2 drinks. Then you can hit up to, like, people would come, oh, hey, Chris, you don't drink, do you? Nope. Hey, can I have your 2 tickets? And bingo. And you'll see some of the people, they will get there and they'll just keep stuffing their face. And the lobbyists, they don't care because they know with a bunch of either scallops or shrimp or some other fancy stuff and a few drinks, they can count on your vote. They can count on you not thinking and just voting. Then, if that isn't enough, we're going to put out a paper every single week. And we'll give you a rating. Did you vote the way we wanted you to vote or whatever? Or did you vote, sometimes you vote your conscience? Both Democrats and Republicans. And I can tell you, there were people who got 95, 98, in a few cases 100, score of 100, both Democrats and Republicans, for voting exactly the way they were told to vote. Just think, at 100%, you do not think You get wined and dined, maybe go on a free trips, or you get pat on the back because you're high on the list, that you do what you're told. Me, I used to get in trouble because I was around the 40 to 50 range, vote my conscience. You can't vote your conscience. You can see it in Congress, and you can see it in the state house. Democrats, Republicans, whether you're libertarians, you're free staters, it didn't matter which group you were in, almost everybody voted way they were told to vote. We used to have caucuses I stopped going to, and everything is you'd go out and both Democrats and Republicans would give you a piece of paper and says, this is the way you're expected to vote on every single one of the bills that are coming to the floor this morning. In afternoon, and you go, nah, that wouldn't happen. Well, I used to see a number of people playing free cell, playing other different games on their little iPads and little other laptop devices, and just raising their hand or pushing the button when they were supposed to push the button. You would have a guy from the Democratic and the Republican Party, the whips. One would have a red handkerchief. The other one would have a green handkerchief, depending on the vote and everything. The whip from the Democratic Party may go. He may have the one with the green handkerchief. That means vote green. Next time, the Republican guy may go up and say, nope, vote green. And it goes back and forth like that. So you got a body of 400. I think it's in the top 10 on size around the world. Almost the size of the House of Representatives is 435, 400. And these people can't think for themselves. And they just get elected because most people can't afford to do it. You can be young going to college, you're going to work a day or two, bingo. You have people from unions that would say, I'm going to work these 2 days, I'm going to conquer these 2 days and I can work my shift. If I'm a policeman, fireman, doctor, nurse, lawyer, I can rearrange my schedule. But you go and you spend up there. What about the people in that have to deal with the consequences of these decisions? Well, the only time that you're really brought up is when you have someone who says, well, I had contingencies emailing me and saying they have a concern about this. Or I have someone emailing me saying they have a concern about this. Well, I can tell you that hardly ever happens because the average person is far too busy working their butts off, trying to put food on the table and keep a roof over their head and keeping their car running to sit down and get in contact with an elected official, which in all high probability that will never reply. Or if they do, will give you a canned answer. Hey, the latest polling says 74% of Americans are surviving from paycheck to paycheck. Just think, 3 out of every 4 Americans who are working right now have little to no savings. And depending who you talk about, little to no savings could be $400, could be $1,000, but I haven't seen anything more than $1,000. $400. Just think, $400. Hey, you may have to replace 2 tires on your car, and that could very easily go to $400. Wipe out your savings. Well, and it's saying is a lot of Americans are buying things like food, the basics, just on their credit cards. Okay. I go by Cumberland Farms. Earlier, Cumberland Farms was $4.74. Then yesterday it was $4.75. And today was $4.84. And I'm going, wait a minute, why is Cumberland Farms gas going up when the price of oil has been going down greatly? Because they can. Where are you going to get gas? You need gas to get to work. So you're stuck. You have to pay whatever they want to charge you. Is it fair? Nope. As far as they're concerned, they want to make their max profit. You're buying food at Aldi's, or you're buying food at Hannaford's or Market Basket, and you're using your credit card because you don't have enough money to go from 1 week to another. But then you put it on the credit card, you could be paying 25, 26, 27% interest on the food you buy. So the price of food goes up, you buy less food, but you're putting it on the credit card because it costs more and other things are costing more. Just think, $1,000. If you had a running tab food bill for $1,000 on your credit card across the year because you're getting it, you're paying it up and down and things like that, that could be easily $250 to $270 just in interest on your food. Look at how much extra food that could have bought you if you had the money to pay cash all the time. But it isn't working that way. And so we're going to dive a little bit into the budget that was passed by the House that will go to the Senate. Then the Senate will probably take 4 to 6 weeks going over it. The Senate will come back and say, nope, we don't agree with this, or we're coming up with new proposals. Then they'll have a committee of conference to go back and forth to make some deals and then come back and there'll be a vote on it. And then both sides will say, you know, we have to pass this budget. We have to pass this budget. We got to pass this budget by June 30th. If we don't pass this budget by June 30th, the world falls apart. No, the world doesn't fall apart. You continue with the previous year's budget and you can't continually work on it. And then you can call a session in the summer, maybe August or September, and they come back and they vote on the new proposed budget. That's what they can do. but they kind of create it so they want to create a sense of fear and panic and saying, the world will fall apart if we don't have this budget. The world will fall apart if we don't have this budget. We got to pass it. I know I don't like it, but I got to pass it. Well, I had to pass it because I had to think of the little people. Aren't you getting sick and tired of being called the little people? What gives these people the right to go and say, we're the big people, you're the little people, and we are here to take care of you? Maybe we could do much better if we can if you allow us to take care of ourselves. Okay. So the governor proposed the budget. Okay. See, now here's a problem. Kelly Ayotte is a Republican, but she's not a Donald Trump Republican. She lost her re-election bid years ago by about 1,000 votes because she did not really support Donald Trump. Okay? A lot of people are in the State House are Donald Trump supporters. Don't even question them ask them about anything possibly negative about Donald Trump because there isn't there, or you're just woke, you're just this, you're that. It doesn't matter if you're Republican. If you're Republican, you ask, you're just a rhino, Republican in name only. So it's not even worth getting into a discussion. So they go in and says, you know what? We don't like Governor Ayotte's budget. Okay. So what they do is you have the House in Ways. It's their responsibility to estimate revenue and how to raise revenue. They come up with a magic number and they give that magic number to the Finance Committee to decide how they're going to spend that magic number. In some cases, the Finance Committee will go back and say, nah, we don't agree with the numbers. But here's another problem. The Speaker of the House and the Majority Leader, they appoint the Ways and Means Chair and they appoint the Finance Chair. So whatever numbers the Ways and Means Chair comes up with, those are the numbers that the Speaker and the Majority Leader want. So the Finance Chair, if he wants to keep his chair, does not call out the Ways and Means individual chair because of the numbers he or she may come up. Because if he's calling out the Ways and Means Chair, he's indirectly calling out the Speaker of the House and the Majority Leader of the House. Either one can replace him in a heartbeat. And I know Ken Weiler. He was on there way back when I was there. He's still there. And he likes to have his own show. So he will not do anything to risk not having his own show. He loves the power of being the Finance Chair. He loves the power of saying, okay, this is how much money I have. In me and my committee will vote how to spend it. Oh, wait a minute. I got two Republicans on the committee that I really don't really think they get along with the program. So I go majority leader, I got Representative A and Representative B. I think they're rhinos. Or I think they got a conscience. And I can't trust them to vote. And I need those 2 votes. Majority leader says, hey, no problem at all. I got 2 guys out here on the Fish and Game Committee that are really good. I'm going to put them on your committee, and I'm going to take those 2 rhinos and put them on your fish and game. Well, they hardly even get the vote. Bingo. Problem solved. So it's a rig game because it doesn't matter. It happened when I was up there and the Democrats were there, and it happened when the Republicans were there. These are rigged games because the lack of moral and political courage, the lack of character. They like their positions. They like having that number plate. And a lot of them, the committee chairs and the assistant committee chairs, they like being that plate that says committee chair, assistant committee chair. And the other ones, Democratic floor leader, Republican floor leader, all these. People like that, having that plate. They think it's totally impressive. And you can buy their vote. You can almost guarantee the majority of them, of their vote, almost all the time by just giving them a license plate. So, to get what they want, bingo, they say, AOT's really not one of us, and we don't like AOT's numbers. AOT said the budget was going to be, and revenue was going to be like $81 million below expectations from now to the end of the year. But the House says, nah, Governor, you're wrong. We expect it to be $149 million below. You know what? Basically, $70 million below. That required the House budget to draw $149 million out of the state rainy day fund. That fund has $293 million, and what they're saying is, okay, we're going to be short $149 million. The budget has to be balanced. And so we got this reserve, so we're going to take this $149 million out of this reserve to pay off the bills that we have coming due. So the makeup for that gap, the House proposed spending less year to year than AOT's budget. It will spend $3.7 billion from the general fund as opposed to AOT's $3.9 million. So the House says, okay, we're reducing the proposed budget by $200 million right off the top. The House budget will shrink the amount spent by the Education Trust Fund. AOT has proposed $1.3 billion per year, and the House has proposed spending an average of $337 million per year. Under the House, some of that would be going into the general fund. So basically, we're saying $300 million. Wow, $300 million. So now we're looking at $500 million. But that $300 million of the educational is what the state goes out and helps pays for state adequacy and other ways to help fund poorer towns and stuff to fund education for the children, which has a big effect on the school tax. The $200 million from the general fund, that helps pays for a lot of stuff in the municipalities. Okay? What about the state match? The state pays part. You have the for roads, you have the federal portion, you have the state portion, you have the city portion. So it depends on what comes out. So, for example, the state of, the federal government may spend 90% to resurface a runway at the airport. The state pays 5% of it, and the city of Keene pays 5%, for example. Bingo. Now, if the state says, well, no, we're not going to pay anything, or we're only going to pay 2.5%. So if another 2.5% has to be done, and for example, Keene wants it, so instead of paying 5%, Keene would have to pay 7.5%. Okay? Some of the environmental cleanups, that could be different. Some of the bridge repairs, those could be different. So all those percentages could be different. Or the 10-year highway plan may stretch out to 15 years. So there's a whole bunch of things. $200 million doesn't seem like much when the federal government is speaking billions and billions and billions of dollars, but $200 million affects local property tax, especially in communities on the western side, like Keene and Claremont, Winchester, Hinsdale. What industries do they have to make up the requirement for new revenue? Bedford, New Hampshire, Dover, Portsmouth, Manchester, Exeter, Nashua. They've got construction going, whether it's just apartment houses, businesses, or just family homes. They have construction going on. What construction do we have going on in Keene, Hillsborough, Swansea, Winchester, Hinsdale, Walpole? If anything, we have more and more stores closing because it's a vicious circle. The taxes are getting high, and because they're getting high, businesses are closing, and prices keep going up. If you want to look at the places that have some of the highest taxes, just look in this part of the state. Right around Keene. Okay, here's the House budget. 5 full-time positions in the Secretary of State's office, 3 in the insurance department. You know, who cares about insurance fraud and things like that? Secretary of State, who cares about business fraud? You know, unscrupulous businesses. 190 from the Department of Corrections. 14 for the Department of Business and Economic Affairs. Who worries about helping people stop businesses? 8 from the Department of Natural and Cultural Resources. Hey, yeah, New Hampshire does have a problem with a lot of pollution, Superfund sites, forever chemicals. But, you know, that's having a bad effect on businesses. So, well, If we get rid of 8 people from there, it's like, that's less people having to go out and look at it. And I don't know why my well water is so tastes funny or looks different and everything. Has a little oily sheen on it. Oh yeah, it must be from that old dump that the person was burying all his cars and junk and like that. Hey, no problem. 27 from the Department of Education. Hey, you know what? We don't need all those people to help uneducate our kids or make sure things go right. We'll get rid of those 27. And 8 from the Department of Safety. You know, we got too many people out there trying to track down those guys going 120 miles an hour on Interstate 93 or 95 in the middle of the night. Look, you know, we're getting too many people arrested for DUI or, things like that. We don't need that. That's an infringement of our rights. I'm a libertarian. If I want to drink and drive, I should be holding myself responsible for that. If I want to go 120 miles an hour down the highway without a helmet and without safety gear, that's not the government's responsibility. That's my responsibility. If I so choose to make that decision, I should be held accountable for it. Yeah, until you crack your skull, get brain damage, and then you're on Medicaid, Medicare for the rest of your life, and causing the taxpayers millions and millions and millions of dollars for your libertarian stupidity and say I would be held accountable. It's just really amazing how a lot of these people say, it's my responsibility, my responsibility. Oh, nope. Something went wrong. It's your responsibility. Because when it comes to money and bills, it's your responsibility to take care of me. And then we call what's called back of the budget. Budget cuts. And back of the budget cuts is a total coward's way out. Because I don't want to go and make a cut that could be politically damaging to me. So what can I do? How can I make cuts without suffering any political damage? Oh, back in the budget cuts. Okay. So what I do is I go to the issue branch, Supreme Court and stuff, and says, oh yeah, I'm reducing your budget by $7.9 million. You make the cuts. Department of Natural and Cultural Resources. These are over and above the personnel cuts I talk about. Cut $600,000. Department of Environmental Services. Cut $6 million. Wait. So you determined it would be politically disadvantageous to you to go and say, we're going to reduce positions in environmental services, and we're going to end this program, and we're going to end that program. So we're going to go, hey, the director of environmental services, commissioner, was appointed by the governor, approved by the executive council, maybe there for 3 years, might get renominated, and we go, hey, you're not a political official. So what we're going to do is make $6 million cuts in the environmental services. You go, hey, I'm the Speaker of the House, President of the Senate, Republican Majority Leader. Nope, we did not make those cuts. We asked them to make these cuts, and they made the cuts based on things that they didn't think were that valuable. So the question is, do you trust all the businesses around here to do what's right? To make sure they expose with their hazardous chemicals, or they don't pour oil down the drain, make sure the plastics go in the right place, or they don't go and burn plastic and demolition material and all stuff like that, because we want to make sure we protect the environment, to make sure that when that contractor tears down that house or does repair, he or she makes sure there's proper lead abatement, because the wind may blow, and it may blow on your little kids and result in some mental illnesses due to lead poisoning or that asbestos that's just blowing in the air. $6 million out of environmental services really reduces the effectiveness of that program. It goes, they says the legislative branch has to give up $1 million. Well, they might find ways to eliminate the retirement. Not retirement, but the mileage. They'll fund less junkets to the Alex conferences and other conferences, but that's all right. These conferences will make up the difference. So it'll go, yes, we're going to reduce $150,000 for 50 Republicans to go to these Republican conferences. And, okay, it's going to be amazing. $150,000 could be donated to the Republican Party to help pay for it. Likewise with the Democratic side. $100,000 to the governor's office. And here's one. $8.7 million to New Hampshire retirement system. They're going to look for ways that people who are eligible for or receiving retirement under the system, or people who are getting ready to retire, not to be eligible. 2011, they did this by increasing the retirement vesting period from 5 to 10 years, and did away with the medical increase on cost of living. So, people from state of New Hampshire, hey, I worked this job, I got this job in the state of New Hampshire 18 years ago. Eight plus years ago, I got this at $18 an hour. College degree required all this other kind of stuff. And going on 9 years, I'm like $28.03. That would not be a great return on my investment college education. And so, good thing I do it, because I like to help people, not to make a lot of money. And they always keep saying, well, but our retirement system is great. Our retirement system is great. The point is, New Hampshire retirement system really sucks. And it's one of the worst funded ones in the country. And now they're looking to make it even worse. $14.7 million less to the Department of Justice, $10 million less to the Department of Information Technology. Hey, so what? We'll be going work on Commodore 64 computers, you know, as upgraded. $46 million to the Department of Health and Human Services. Ooh, you better not have medical issues. You better not find yourself without health care, and you better not be in one of those rural areas where your hospital may be forced to shut down. The committee has recommended getting rid of the Office of the Child Advocate, the watchdog agency created under Governor Sununu that monitors the division of children, youth, and families after a series of child fatalities a decade ago. Oh, so we create this watchdog thing of child advocate, a watchdog for CYF, where children have died, children have been molested, sexually assaulted, children have disappeared. You know, crap. That's another thing for an accountability. So, who's going to be accountable for the welfare of these children? Some of these children who are in DCYF or CYF or DCYF are there because of the immaturity and the viciousness of their families. They're there for their own protection, not because their criminal behavior and things like that. Yes, some are, but some of these are for their own protection. But we've decided, no. We recommended doing away with the State Council on Art, which provides grants to local art program. Get rid of the Human Rights Commission, which is an independent agency that hears civil rights and discrimination complaints and can make recommendations for prosecution to the Attorney General. I guess civil rights, human rights, I guess that's just another DEI thing that has to go. You know, white males do have, sometimes their civil rights are violated. Okay? The civil rights and discrimination is not just for people of color and women. It's for everybody. And sooner or later, a lot of these white guys are going to find out, wait a minute, you can't do that to my wife. You can't do that to my child. Wait a minute. You can't do that to my gay son-in-law. You can't do this to my biracial grandson. And we're going to come back and say, yes, we can, because that was a DEI program. And that program was working against your protection, against you. We eliminated that program to protect you. You are being protected. Unfortunately, you know, your children could not choose who they were going to fall in love with or choose what color child they may adopt or whatever, or your wife could not, unfortunately, didn't choose the right job to work for. You know, but it's for your own good. The ombudsman, the right to know. Oh, they want to do away with the right to know. This is an individual who goes and takes the different complaints, say from between the city and say a free stater, and they go and they look at it, and they tried to come up with a decision so that satisfies both so they don't get tied up in court wasting the taxpayers' money. They want to do away with the Housing Appeals Board. Oh, Keene wants to build some more houses to bring people in. But, yeah, okay, Keene, I would do it. But I want to build the houses right behind St. Bernard's Church in that big parking lot. City says no. And so, hey, if I want to appeal it, I can appeal it. But now we'll do away with that one. This is so, especially if I get a deal and the city don't like it, oh well. Then the Office of Early Childhood Education. It's in the State Department of Education. Gone. Who cares about 3, 4, 5-year-old kids? Most of them are either poor people of color anyway, and again, that's another DEI program. Then it goes and says, hey, we just want to cut the University of New Hampshire system, $50 million. Eliminate the governor's scholarship fund, cutting $5.4 million. Cut another $4 million from the community college. You know what I would be telling the kids? If my kids were there, I says, okay, when you graduate, move to Massachusetts. I don't care if you move to Gardner or right across the border. Live there for a year and go to Mount Massachusetts for the next 2 years and go there for free, tuition free. Don't go to Keene State. It's way too expensive and it's going to become even more expensive. Don't go to UNH. And oh yeah, by the way, when we look at that, UNH takes a lot of students of color from overseas, international students, because they pay even more than out-of-state students. So UNH and Keene State and Plymouth University could be losing that pot of money, plus the state wants to the House wants to take this money away. And the State Family Planning Program, which provides funding to healthcare for testing for cancer, sexually transmitted infections, and other healthcare. Oh, you know what? They all consider it, oh, that's an abortion clinic. That's an abortion clinic. Planned Parenthood is always an abortion clinic. It is not always an abortion clinic. For some of these women where they live in the part of up north, Berlin and down the the west side of the state, they can't afford to go to doctors. And in a lot of places, not even doctors there. Oh, I have this problem. What? Oh, a pap smear. What? Oh, women need pap smears before they get cervical cancer and die. There's women that have cancers that are preventable, just like male cancers with prostate cancer, colon cancer, which goes both. But if you get tested early, they're usually highly curable. Transmitted infections, other health. Fibrosis, other ones. Ectopical pregnancies. Hey. Medicaid grants. Reduce it by $52.5 million. A 3% reduction to providers. So let's think. You want me to take care of the same people, but you're going to give me a 3% cut on every person I take. Yep. But you're for free business, free enterprise. Guess what? I don't take Medicare people anymore. There's more and more doctors saying I'm not taking Medicare anymore. Yep. Would permit Medicaid from paying for circumcisions, a long sought goal for Republicans. And the budget will also level fund the amount that it distributes for the meals and room tax to cities and towns at $137 million a year. So they're not going to have a percentage cut of, say, 5%. They're going to say, we're only going to do $137 million. That's all we're going to pay. So that's an $11.2 million cut across the state. So that means City of Keene will get less room meals tax. Oh, what they're going to do is the other one, the freedom accounts, they want to raise the pot from up to $400,000, and then the second year, that freedom accounts would be anybody can use the freedom accounts, get a certain amount of money, and go to any school they want. Then the House says, you know what? We want it so my kid can go to any school in the state of New Hampshire, any public school in the state of New Hampshire that has an opening. Ooh, I got a 6'7" basketball player that lives in Keene. Oh, maybe he could go to Bedford. I can find a school for them. And then one is, hey, the state is going to limit how much money you can increase your school budget, no matter what other, unless over 60% people override the cap. Well, it comes down to, don't just think about the federal budget, think about the state budget, because it will affect you come July 1st.